My clients typically range from individuals to global organizations. And with those clients, it's always on a very bespoke or a very tailored approach, consultant approach. My consultant work ranges anywhere from DEI, so diversity, equity, and inclusion consulting, programmatizing DEI, understanding DEI at an individual and a global level, understanding that DEI looks very, very different in Detroit as it does in Milan. So, really making sure that the organization and corporations understand DEI from a cultural perspective and what may be important to one may be very, very, non existent to the other. So, understanding those dynamics. That's what I do in a professional level. In addition to that, I also see clients on individual levels as well. So maybe it's career life coaching, or maybe it's redesigning and optimizing your CV or your resume to get that next position that you've been yearning for. Or maybe it's really kind of putting some thought, some true thought around your interviewing skills and really kind of getting your mental framework ready for that interview, both internally and externally as well. So it really does run the gamut. All in all, it's very bespoke. It's very tailored to the client. Each individual of my clients are very, very different. And so I tailor my approach accordingly. Anyway, that is myself in a nutshell. My consulting firm is called The Virtual Coffee. And of course, hello, welcome to Treneice's Corner. Here I normally discuss it. No, trying to do an intro. I thought you were on the phone. He's making noise. This is what happens when your husband come home from golfing. He turns on everything in the house and makes a lot of noise. I'll just wait until he's done. I think he's done. No. There is an immense sense of loss that takes place within the individuals who's been laid off. But there's also an immense sense of loss for those who remain as well. These might have been individuals who they considered an extension of their family. These were their rocks at work. These were their teammates, their partners in crime, individuals who they leaned on, who they talked to. When they couldn't talk to their bosses, the person next door was it. And they helped them through their struggles, both professionally and personal. Those individuals have been severed. There is a loss that's taken place. A loss that we typically ignore because we think that the ones who remain are in a better spot than those who have been let go. That may not always be the truth. This is what happens when your husband comes home from golf. He starts washing his clubs in the sink and making a ton of noise. This is what happens. Babe, are you washing your clubs? You washing your clubs? Then what's all the noise? This is what happens when your husband comes home from golf and start making a lot of noise with his clubs. Okay. Hello, welcome to Treneice's Corner. If this is your first time visiting, welcome. I'm Treneice, and I have a global consultant firm called the Virtual Coffee. Within this firm, I typically focus on, well, two different things. One, I my clients are no. Hello, welcome. This is Treneice at Treneice's Corner. Hello, welcome to Treneice's Corner. I'm Treneice, and I run a global consultant firm called the Virtual Coffee. There, I typically focus on two different things. The first is I service clients that are in the global market, so large corporations or small companies alike. And my focus is typically around DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. I focus on DEI strategies, DEI implementation in a very sustainable and ethical way to ensure that the organization is reaching the cultural needs within the areas that they're in or the region that they're in. So of course the global footprint looks very different. And let's face it, DEI looks different in Detroit than it does in Milan. So really making sure that companies understand the differences between the two and are ready to put strategies and basically put their money where their mouth is around the strategies and the vision that they think they want or say they want. Another part of the virtual coffee consultant firm is I help individuals with their career life coach. Now, that looks quite different per individual. It could be anywhere from ensuring that you've got the confidence and you're in the mental space for that important interview, or it could be where I help you strategize your next career move internally and externally, or it could be in that, we're going to upskill and optimize your resume or CV to ensure that you are always ready for any opportunity that are out there. So it runs the gamut. Either way, the consulting firm, the virtual coffee, is really done on a bespoke level. It's very optimized and individualized and tailored per client. I want to do a continuation of this series, Layoffs, that I started a few weeks ago. I want to focus on individuals who remain in the organization. Too often, we actually ignore those that remain, that did not get laid off, and that still have their jobs. We actually look at those individuals as lucky, or they must have done something right, something profound for them to actually still remain in the corporation. And often that's not the case at all. We often show no empathy to individuals who did not get laid off. And I'll tell you what's wrong with that. If we think about this situation of a layoff, when a company does mass layoffs, you have individuals who've been working there for many years that were laid off. Alongside them, you've got individuals who did not get that notice and currently still can show up to work and get a paycheck every day. What we don't think about is the immense guilt and the survivor remorse that remained with individuals who did not get laid off. Think about the impact of that environment now. Think about the culture. Think about the psychological safety or lack thereof that are currently existent in that culture. With that said, here are some questions that I want for us to ask ourselves. Today's video is not about problem solving, and I'm not going to give you strategies around this. It is only for us to start asking ourselves questions. And also, of course, to start holding corporations and organizations accountable for the fallout of layoffs. What I find is corporations are still telling the individuals who remain that what I find is that corporations are still telling individuals who remain that they should have psychological safety within the corporation. They should continue to thrive within their culture, that they continue to have an open door policy, that they should walk in and tell them anything, that they should share their shortfalls so they can provide resources to help them, that they should feel safe enough to actually tell them that, whether or not they are they lack in any areas, and they will provide the resources to help them through those things. but it's impractical. And the reason why it's impractical is, how can you bring your full selves to work when the individuals that you've been working alongside for some time also did the same thing, but yet they were laid off? They were let go. Your employees, and this is to the corporations, your employees no longer feel a sense of psychological safety, if they ever did. They no longer feel a sense of safety at all. The emotions that they're feeling now are of immense guilt, trauma. They feel afraid to share their shortfalls because they do not want to end up where their colleagues ended up. They now have to do a lot more with a lot less. And there's a lot of anxiety and stress that you've now created within that environment. And the sooner you're able to not just address this, but actually help your employees through this emotional crisis, the better it will be for that employee and for your organization. What the employees are doing now who remain is they are waiting for the axe, which brings immense amount of anxiety to the table. Not only are they waiting for the axe to drop on for them, but they're also looking, where's my way out? They're planning, they're thinking about it, they're waiting for the right opportunity. And so you've created a culture, an environment of trauma. And because you've created this environment, I get asked this question quite a bit. And that is, how can an organization, how can a company do layoffs in an ethical or moral way? And the answers to this, and this is the only answer I'm going to give, is absolutely. Yes, they can. There is actually an ethical and moral way to sever your relationship with individuals that work for you. Absolutely. And I can tell you, most companies do not do this. The mistake help their employees that remain is they look to upskilling and reskilling them. And although that does address one element of that individual, it's actually not the most important. The upskill and reskilling should have come before you did the layoff. What needs to happen now is something far greater. But like I said, this video is not about problem solving or providing strategies to solve for these issues. It really honestly is about creating discussions. This video is not about problem solving or providing strategies to solve for these issues. It really is for us to just start thinking about the emotional damage that has been done to both sides, not just the employees that have been laid off, but the ones who remain behind. Support has to be given to both. And I think it's important for us to start thinking about both elements. And once again, thank you for visiting Treneice's Corner. Please leave a comment, like, and subscribe to the channel, and I will continue to Hi, thank you for visiting Treneice's Corner. This is Treneice. I am a DEI, so Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion consultant. I consult both individual and corporation around DEI strategies and, of course, long-term sustainable plans. I also work with individual clients specifically around career development and career coaching. That could look like optimizing your resume or CV, rebranding yourself on different social media platforms, whatever they may be. Everything that I do is based on a very bespoke, a very tailored approach. Every individual is different, every corporation is different, every culture within these are also different. And there are a lot of complexities around this. And so that's really the strength of my consulting firm, the virtual coffee, and that's what I absolutely love to do. Well, in today's discussion, it's a continuation within the series of being laid off. Today, I want to really address a topic that is never talked about. And what I would like to do is for us to start thinking about these ideas. I'm not going to provide any solutions or problem solve. I think we first need to really start thinking about what the situation is in the first place. I'm going to pose a few questions to get our thinking cap on and really for us to start having conversations within ourselves and with others about the topic. And that is the impact of layoffs on the individuals who remain in the organization. This group is often ignored. They are looked down upon. A sense of, oh, they were just lucky, or they did something that kept them there. There's always a negative connotation surrounding individuals who remain. And honestly, I think we need to understand the environment that the layoffs create with those that were not laid off. The reality of the environment that has been created for individuals who remain can be an environment of trauma. Individuals now live a sense of fear, a sense of displacement themselves, a sense that they could be next the next Monday morning. Every day they come to work, they're on a heightened alert, sense of alert. They're on emotional roller coaster. Every time their boss calls their name or sends them an email, there is a sense of fear and terror, and that they could very well be next on the chopping block. Being in that state of constant stress is can be exhausting, and we need to really recognize the environment, that the sense of psychological safety. And by the way, companies still have an expectation that there is psychological safety that remains in a corporation when there's a layoff, or they still have the sense of business as usual, that they have an open door policy, and that these individuals, these employees can just come in anytime, air your dirty laundry, we'll help you through it. If there are any questions, or if there are any shortfalls, or you need help with any skills gap, we can take care of it, work through it. What they don't realize is that employees who remain will do nothing of the sort. There is a sense of, if I tell you that I am lacking in an area or I'm struggling in an area, you'll just cut me. Because of that, you get the worst of individuals. And what I mean the worst, I mean that there's heightened sense of creativity and the thought of sharing ideas and creating this culture, an environment of innovation. That is all on hold. Individuals who are under this heightened level of traumatic stress will not be creative. They will not share their great ideas. They will not give room to actually have a clear thought. And so you really don't get the best of individuals who remain. What you get is a heightened sense of self-preservation, and a heightened sense of, not only will I be next, but now I need to look for an alternative. I need to have a backup plan. Got to have a plan A and a plan B, right? I need to make sure that I am posturing myself just in case this company cuts me next. Because this new environment has been created for these individuals who remain, what you find is there is no psychological safety. That culture that might have been once flourishing has now diminished, and everyone is out for themselves. The question I have is, can a company do mass layoffs in an ethical and moral way? We haven't seen it done very often. I get it. But can it be done? What does that look like? After a mass layoff, can we trust that company again? Do they ever recover in the public eye, in our social media world? Is there room for them to recover? And yes, this is even after they've recovered financially. They've now opened up the reins to do, mass hiring, and they've got strategies and DEI plans around that. And, they're excited about the future, and they've regained market shares within their global footprint. After all of that, yes, can we trust them again? What would that look like? What would it take to actually trust these corporations again? What would it take for their employees who remain to trust them again? Despite what most organizations believe, that sense of trust is almost impossible to regain. Once again, thank you for visiting Treneice's Corner. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time.